My grandfather was a fighter pilot during the Battle of Britain, but he never spoke about it. Not once. No war stories, no nostalgic tales of bravery, just a tight-lipped silence that settled over him like a shadow. My family used to joke that he had simply seen too much, that the memories were too painful. But after he passed, I found a box among his belongings. Inside was his old RAF flight log, some faded photographs, in a journal. The logbook was what I expected. Lists of missions, enemy engagements, fuel calculations. But the journal was something else. Something that still keeps me awake at night. According to my grandfather, pilots who were shot down sometimes came back. Not rescued, not found clinging to wreckage in the channel. They just returned as if nothing had happened. A man would be reported dead in action, his plane last seen going up in flames, and then, days later, he'd walk back onto the airfield, completely unharmed. At first, no one questioned it. The war was brutal and hope was in short supply. If a lost pilot turned up alive, who were they to argue? But my grandfather noticed something off about the ones who returned. Their eyes were too still, like they weren't really seeing anything. They rarely ate, barely spoke. Some of them just stood outside at night, staring up at the sky as if listening for something only they could hear. Then there was Flight Lieutenant Harris. Harris had been my grandfather's closest friend in the squadron. They trained together, fought together. My grandfather saw Harris's plane take a direct hit during a dogfight over the channel. The Spitfire broke apart mid-air. No parachute, no chance of survival. 2 days later, Harris walked into the mess hall, grinning like nothing had happened. No one questioned it. They were just glad to have him back. Men clapped him on the back, poured him a drink, but my grandfather couldn't shake the cold weight in his gut. Harris was smiling, laughing at jokes, but his laugh didn't sound right. It was just a little too slow, a little too deliberate, and his eyes, they were empty. That night my grandfather pretended to sleep, but he kept one eye open. Harris lay in his cot, unmoving. He didn't shift, didn't snore, didn't even breathe deeply like a sleeping man should. Hours passed. Then sometime around 2 a.m., Harris sat up, smoothly, silently. He stood, walked out of the barracks and stopped in the middle of the airfield. He looked up, just staring at the sky. He stood there for hours, and he wasn't the only one.